Welcome on in here, Tuesday edition here. No fooling. That's right. We're here. First pitch coming to you live on the WagerTalk TV YouTube channel. Dan Alexander here with you. And joining me, I'm going to have my man Adam Trigger, who is hot on the hardwood, but he ain't stopping breaking down what we got on the diamond today. A decent slate here in MLB action. Just about 13 games. Lucky number 13 here that we got for the folks, Trig. And we're going to start off as we always do. Top of the card here, we're going to talk Mets and the Marlins. But we also want to invite you, if you're joining us live here, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, and hop in the comments and let us know what games you'd like to hear about. I talked to Trig before we went live here. I said, hey, Trig, got anything you want me to avoid? Any games you want to hit? Trig said, it's free game. What the people want, the people will get. So give the man a like and hit that subscribe button. But Trig, let's get into it, brother. Mets and Marlins. Mets, we'll have to talk about the other New York team a little bit later and what's going on with those bats and get your take on the torpedo that is sweeping the nation. But we'll at least talk here about the Mets. Big price that you're seeing here. Road favorite is they're taking on the Marlins. Alcantara is going to be on the hill for his second start of the year. Senga is opposing him. And this is an interesting handicap because the number, sure, it feels high for the Mets sitting at minus right around like 150. Maybe sounds a bit right when you just think and factor in how the Marlins have started the year, but at home is where they've done most of their damage here. So again, Alcantara in that first start, numbers weren't awful, especially if you were looking towards a strikeout prop over, easily cashing that one. So anything that stands out to you just as we start the show off here, Mets, Marlins, and of course, Trig, welcome on in, brother.
Yeah, I always love being here talking baseball. Already did an hour with Tokyo Brandon this morning, so ready to just keep talking games.
Bless your soul.
There was a quick out, Dan. It went by quickly. We're hitting on all the different leagues, so that was a good time. This was not a game that came up, but I guess the first thing that stands out, you mentioned the price. I actually have this a little bit higher. I've got this up closer to minus 180. So I do see some value on the Mets here. I just it's not enough where it would be something I would want to play. But I actually, being as they're on the road and their run line is plus 110, I actually see a little bit of value on the minus 1.5 as well. I typically don't like to lay the minus 1.5, but if you're going to do it, you kind of want to do it with a road team because you get that, extra, you get the full 9 at bats. And I've got this. My projection here is by more than one run for the Mets. Now, you talked about Alcantara, his first start, okay, but I still have Senga rated quite a bit higher. I'll be honest, this was one I got past pretty quickly because I saw it. I said, well, I have no interest in laying minus 160 on the road, doing it a day after the Mets kind of won big. But I guess the point I'll make with the Marlins, I don't think this is a very good team. I think that they were quite fortunate to have their opening series come against the Pirates and to be on the right end of multiple walk-off winners. I mean, that first series, 5-4, 3-4, 5-4, 3-2. They won 3 of those games essentially in the final at bat. I mean, if the ball doesn't bounce their way, they could easily be 1-4 right now. And then, of course, got dominated by the Mets yesterday. So it's a Mets lean here for me, but not something I'm probably going to get involved with.
So real quick, coming up next, we're going to talk this D-backs and Yankees game and, of course, expound upon the new style of bowling pins that we're seeing the Yankees bats with. But first, we had FB coach chiming in on this matchup, just saying first 5 under. Any thoughts for that? You mentioned the kind of big win here for the Mets yesterday, but all of those runs pretty much came across in the 5th inning, right? So 5th and 6th inning, if you add the other 2, but 7 of them were in the top there in the 5th. So, if history's looking to repeat itself, Trig, you were easy, no sweat. This thing's easily going under in the first 5. And then the 5th inning happened. That's betting baseball for you, right? I could kind of see, hey, the big explosion. Does it happen 2 nights in a row? Does it happen with Alcantara on the bump? I get the thought process here for FB coach. I just don't know if there's enough there for me to make a wager personally. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've got my number is coming up a little higher. I actually feel like this is kind of low for the total here. I'm closer to eight and a
Yeah.
half. So the fact that this is 7.5 would pretty much keep me off of the under. I suppose first five. I guess you're isolating the starters, but I'm not sure. I just don't know if I have enough faith in Alcantara to make that bet. So I can't. I don't have enough conviction to talk you off of it, but I don't have. I'm not really loving it either.
Yeah, that's the way I'm feeling. Sure, it might cash. Is it something that I'm going to be adding to my card? Probably not, FB coach. But brother, we appreciate the comment. Regardless, keep them coming. City by the Bay finally joining us. We've missed you, man. And yes, RIP to the GOAT, Dave Koken. Indeed, he's missed each and every day here at Wager Talk, especially, once you're into baseball season. This is where the man made coin year after year. Appreciate you, City. Keep those likes coming. Keep those comments coming, folks, and Trig and I will be hitting on them. One of the ones right out of the gate, we had Mike R., whose nickname apparently is Mikey Flavors. He says, never fear, Mikey Flavors is here. Well, he's getting a little bit spicy, looking towards the D-backs money line. Despite the way that the Yankees have started the year, you're seeing the D-backs as favorites here, probably because Corbin Burns and his new dig's going to be on the hill tonight, going up against Warren. Trig, let's talk this game first, and then we'll circle back to what's happening with the new scientific innovation, we will call it, with the wood moved to the center of the bat, despite the fact that the bats were already all wood. It's all people are talking about, Trig, but I want to know how we bet this game before we get into the talking head stuff. You agreeing with our man Mikey Flavors? Is the money line just the way to go? They're favorites for a reason. Yankees getting their first loss today. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed in myself for not betting this earlier. But this morning there was some respected Yankees money out there, and it I kind of pumped the brakes for two reasons. One, respected Yankees money out there, which looks like it could be a fake at this point. But two, I guess just like not feeling really the need to step in front of the Yankees right now. So my personal take is this, Dan. I don't think it's the bats. Like I do think the Yankees are just red hot right now. I do think the bats are helping certain players, but I don't think the bat is like like for example, like Lindor used the bat this week and he had a terrible day at the plate, or he had a terrible weekend at the plate. I think there was guys on the Twins that used him, and the Twins didn't hit the ball at all weekend. So I don't think it's the bat. I think the Yankees were just a couple things. One, they had a really good weekend at the plate, and two, the Brewers are just kind of dreadful right now with where they're at pitching wise, especially their bullpen. Opening day, it wasn't like the Yankees were hitting bomb after bomb. They hit a couple, but it was I want to say, what did that turn into, like a 4-2 game that they kind of squeaked out at the end? So my gut this morning said, I can't believe Arizona is an underdog with Corbin Burns on the mound. Especially knowing like Will Warren's a guy that I feel like this is like the type of guy I'm playing either for or against in the early going. The reason is I have a pretty good sample of him at AAA last year, and I'm pretty confident in my rating of him. He wasn't like rated. He didn't rate out as like an elite AAA guy to me last year. And then when he came up to the big leagues, he did get knocked around. So like huge pitching edge for the Diamondbacks here. Yeah, I would agree with City by the Bay. What I think happened here is there was some money on the Yankees early, which was clearly a fake, because this is now up to like Arizona minus 115. I'm kind of with the viewers. I may just play this at minus 115. Like I don't know that I want to miss out here, because again, the Yankees are a team that I have every intention of playing against this week at some point, because I don't think it was anything other than they had a really good series to start the year against a team that had some pitchers that were just not very good. And so I do think that the price is quite inflated right now based on all the runs they scored over the weekend. And Arizona's a team I'm high on. Like I say this every year. I think this is like the fourth straight year that I've been high on the Diamondbacks, but I've pretty much been right 3 of those 4 years. And the one year that I was wrong, they had a really good second half, and we made a bunch of money playing them plus 1.5 during the second half. I think if you go back to 2021, that would have been that year. And then of course they've sort of overachieved every year since. So I'm I really like Arizona. I think Tokyo Brandon bet this morning when we were on the show. I should have just done that. I should have just done it then because I could have got like plus 102. But at minus 110, minus 115, I don't think the value has been like sucked out per se. So I think that's still a bet I would make, and maybe one I'll even add. I'm gonna think about it a little longer, but I think minus 110, minus 115, minus 120 that we have on the screen is definitely, I think, on the high side right now. I definitely think there's still sites with minus 115 out there if you want that. And I really like Arizona in this spot.
Yeah, and again, that's why we shop around and try and find the best price there for you. Our 120's out there, but like Trig said, minus 115's available as well. So make sure you're betting that right price. Let's go Snakes, FB coach. Indeed, there, dude. I'll just say about the whole bat thing. Like this is a textbook example of just like prisoner of the moment stuff, right? Because Stanton was already using it last year. And also if opening day wasn't as crazy for the Yankees as it was, would this even be a talking point? Like it really wouldn't. I saw a funny tweet. I wish I would have seen who it was from so I could credit it, but it was like, man, your Yankees and your batters, they're using torpedo bats. He's like, back in my day, we use anabolic steroids like men. And then, this was a different era. Burns over 15 and a half outs. First start here. I mean, that number sounds about right. Trig, again, I don't know how much you dive in to the pitcher prop specifically. This is one of my favorite things to bet. Last year, if you remember, we were playing, a Wheeler to record a win. We were playing some different players to record a win. So I'm always looking at some of these player props. That one right around 15 and a half, you're asking how deep does he go pretty much, right? That's really what you're looking for. It's basically a bet of how many batters does he see. I could see this one losing or winning by the hook, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and Arizona's got a nice bullpen, so like they don't necessarily need to push him super deep. The other thing, I guess, for me, I also want to clarify, like this would mostly be a play against Warren for me. Like as good as Burns is, like that's certainly kind of priced in my opinion. Like the books are not going to make a mistake on Corbin Burns at this point, right? So there also is like the fact that the Yankees probably have a pretty good beat on him. He spent time in their division last year, so it's like it's not all super favorable for Arizona. But what I do think happens, like I do think Warren could potentially get hit up. They could have a lead. And then you have those good bullpen arms for Arizona to take this one home. So I do like the Diamondbacks, but I'm not sure that I want to like necessarily bet on him going super deep in his first start of the season.
Yeah, and you got Mike, our man, Mikey Flavors there mentioning that Trigger had just come on with Adam Pullett. Trig, correct me if I'm wrong, the true last name on the birth certificate is Trigger. You know what I mean? Like, you just got blessed with a cool ass last name. You know what I mean?
That is correct.
So, you were basically born to be a handicapper when your last name is Trigger. Like, let's pull the trigger. Either that or that dude in the Olympics that was like the quick shooter back in the day. This past Olympics, he would have had to be one of those two things. But pull the trigger, hop on board with our man Adam Trigger, who is just seeing it on the hardwood. A loss last night, but guys, that brings him on a 7-1 run. So check him out, wt.buzz/AT. Before we get back to some of these games, Trig, it is $5 Tuesday here at WagerTalk. You can get any cappers featured play for just $5. One of the best values. People love it when we do it each and every week. So what do you have locked and loaded here for $5 Tuesday?
Yeah, so still a 2-1 day yesterday for me. I'm 12-3 all sports the last 8 days or so. And it was baseball. It was MLB that got it done for us last night with the Tigers, of course, split on the hardwood. I have a 4% play in college basketball in the NIT tonight. So it's not that crown tournament that no one can bet. The play is in the NIT. I have a KBO play up. I'm off to a great start there. I'm going to see if they'll let me put that up later tonight for $5 as well, since it's still Tuesday. And but that'll be up. It's already locked in if you're all access, but that'll be up in some capacity. And then we'll probably add Major League Baseball at some point, but I've already got 2 plays I really like locked in. So that's why I didn't feel like I, had to rush out the MLB. And what I'm going to do is like, I'll probably just, if it's one of the games we talk about on the show, I'll probably just tweet it out for free. So make sure you're following me on Twitter at Adam Trigger WT, and MLB will likely just be posted today.
Love it. And Trig, before we get back to specific games here, really good question by our man City. You haven't been in the chat here for a while, City, so you must have had some notes written down to fire off some great questions here in the chat. We appreciate that. He's saying, question for the panel. Of course, the panel is just Trig and I here today. So question for the panel is, looking at the batter history versus the starting pitcher, or the starting pitcher's career record versus the team that they're facing, which is more important? Or he says, is it all irrelevant? As far as that quantifier of which is more important, I think the last part of your question is the truest one for at least how I look at it. Career record versus a team, in either way that you look at it, batters, that can tell you a little bit more. But starting pitcher career record versus a team, turnover, you know what I mean? Teams are changing all the time. So could it be the guy struggles with a trip to that ballpark? That might be a little bit more extrapolatable than looking at the starting pitching numbers versus, a team specifically. But for me, what I want to look at if I'm looking at pitching metrics, Trig, is in season, is recent form, and also how does it compare to what the bullpen numbers are? When I'm looking at numbers, that's what I'm looking at. What do you think as far as looking at teams or batters versus pitchers, or pitchers versus teams? I find that it's great, like talking points. It's really good for an analysis to make a trend that you can make sound really sexy. Outside of betting game by game in a long season like this, I personally don't find much value in it. What are you thinking, Trig?
Yeah, I've gotten away from splits in recent years, and I think I've done better because of it. Like, for example, like I'm not saying that none of them have merit. I certainly think batter versus pitcher history is definitely important, but like,
yeah,
I'm less inclined to like buy too much into the fact that, oh well, this team in like 5 games last year owned this guy. Okay, like these are all big league guys, right? Like they're the best of the best, and they're going to figure out at some point what they maybe did wrong, right? Like a pitcher is probably going to figure out, let's say this team knocked him around 4 times last year. Like they have so much info, so much data, so much like that they can pretty much pinpoint, all right, I got to start attacking these guys low and away because they turned on everything, like stuff like that. So that's why I'm like less inclined to like totally like, go in on splits, because I just think that the technology is so good, and the info that they have at their fingertips is so good that they can make the adjustment. Now, if it's someone that's just overmatched, like that's different, right? Like but that really goes back more to where I have the individual rated across everything as opposed to against another team. So yeah, I've got away more from the splits, and I'm really like, I'm far. I was talking about this with Tokyo Brandon this morning. I'm definitely more inclined to trust in-season data more than like what I had projected coming into the season. And it's really why, like for me, what I found is working this year is I think I have a better assessment of guys that spent a lot of time at AAA last year than the books do. And I'm finding almost all of my, like last night was a perfect example. I got Tigers plus 105. I had Job rated much higher than Hancock. Both of them spent a considerable amount of time in the minors. I watch a ton of minor league baseball and following AAA, just as closely as I follow MLB, if not closer. So I'm trying to like take my ratings and say, okay, I've got a discrepancy here. And then if I really do like it, I will find a way in with it. And last night, Tigers was an example. The day before, I had Kuchanowicz for the Angels rated much higher than Martin, and I could justify a bet based on that, and both of those won. So that's probably how I'll be attacking it, especially in April, while we don't really have the in-season sample size yet.
Yeah, I love it. That's Adam Trigger. WT.buzz/AT is where you can find him on socials at Adam Trigger WT. All right, let's get back to some specific games here. And this is a little earlier in the chat. We had Chris B dropping in saying that he's going to be looking to play the Nats team total over -3.5, right around -115. They, of course, playing the Blue Jays here today, and they get to face Jose Barrios, whose first outing, not all that great, right? 6 earned runs come across for him. If you look at this Nats team, they've scored 3 or more runs in each and every game except for last night, but that's a tough trip going all the way up there to Toronto, so maybe they settle in here a little bit. Big price on Toronto. I like the thought here that Washington maybe gets back here a little bit, and why look to back them on the side when you can take a team total that's sitting around 3.5 in a game that's lined around 8.5 here, Trig. I don't hate the look here from our man Chris B. What are you thinking in this game, or did any other team totals or kind of stand out in your mind? What do you think?
Yeah, I don't hate the look either. What did you say the team total was, Dan? Do you have it in front of you?
He said he got it 3.5 -115, which I think is a hell of a price with this game total.
That's a good bet. All of my projections have the Nats scoring more than 4 runs here. This is a good example of, like, I'm probably higher on the Nationals lineup than most. Rochester is kind of like, so my local AAA team is Syracuse. It's about 30 minutes away. And the other team I go see a lot is Rochester, which is about an hour and a half away, but better ballpark. I just prefer going there a little bit better. And that is, and I went a lot last year because a lot of these guys that are on the Nationals right now were in Rochester last year because they had kind of a loaded farm system. So guys like Dylan Cruz, like James Wood, they spent considerable amount of time of their season up here in Rochester. So I think the future's bright for the Nats from that regard. You have CJ Abrams had a really good year last year. It's a good lineup. They grabbed Josh Bell, who's not going to hit under 100 all year. So I think that you can sort of expect him to produce a little bit more than he's produced so far. Hasn't really gotten going yet. I saw Kyber Ruiz lost some weight. He looks like he's in fantastic shape like that. So just all of these things are tilting me toward thinking the Nationals are probably undervalued from an offensive standpoint. So I don't hate that at all. I don't think that's a bad bet at all, especially if you got 3.5 -115. Like I said, all my projections have this with Nationals scoring 4 or more. Now, there's a good chance the Blue Jays do as well. So maybe I guess the over is where I lean in that one. But can't talk you off the Nationals play.
No, and I just did a quick search on a couple different books, and it's not like you found a rogue number there. That's what we're seeing, 3.5 -115. I'm with you, Chris. I think you found a nice little misprice there. Trig's number saying that he sees it, and just kind of conventional wisdom kind of saying the same there. But, of course, we know this is baseball after all. So the projections, sometimes numbers don't lie until you're in the middle of baseball season in MLB. And that's when you feel like, how the hell are these numbers lying to me? Great stat here by City by the Bay. Barrios goes 2-0 last season after giving up 6 or more runs the previous start. Again, ends up being maybe a water cooler stat there for you. But we'll see. We'll track that one, and we'll circle back to it, City. One thing I want to circle back to, Trig, and then we'll ask you what game kind of stood out to you. When we talked with you last on Friday, great discussion and a great kind of thought process that was dropped into the chat by our man who's joining us today, Jack Falk. And that was blindly backing the A's to start the season. They're getting plus 115 right around that price again as they're taking on the Cubbies, who absolutely throttled them yesterday, 18-3. But still, if you look at the A's against the spread, they're 3-2 to start the year, 2-3. So if you're looking at some, you're just about at that kind of break-even point if you're getting plus money on the take back on the A's here. Severino and Steele, are you still looking to back this A's team? I mean, can't get much worse than last night, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I haven't found a good spot to jump in yet, but I think you said 3-2 or 2-3 straight up, and every single one was plus money. So you're probably pretty close to you're pretty close to even. I think 3-2 against the plus 1.5 so far, and one of those was a terribly unlucky loss. That opening night, the plus 1.5. Mariners scored 3 runs in the 8th inning to go up 4-2 and win 4-2. And the Mariners are not going to have many 3-run innings all year because that's how poorly they are offensively. So that was really unlucky for the A's. Yeah, I wouldn't go against him here. Now, I don't think I'm getting I think Severino might be getting just a little bit too much love with this price.
Yeah.
I was hoping after last night's 18-3 drubbing, which I
Yep.
think had a lot more to do with like Joey Estes is not going to be in that rotation long term. I don't think. There's a kid down in Las Vegas right now by the name of JT Ginn who should have been in the starting rotation to start the year. I would not be surprised if he is in that rotation sooner than later. I think last night, like Estes just isn't very good. I mean, he was just throwing 91 down the middle and got teed off on. So I'm not worried at all about like 18-3. That doesn't really matter to me. And I was actually hoping it would inflate the Cubs a little bit more here. But, you're seeing that run line price plus 1.5, minus 145. I was kind of hoping if that was like minus 125, I would have been all over A's plus 1.5. But I just think that like Severino looked pretty good. Severino looked good against the Mariners. My concern was he walked 4 hitters and got away with it. So it's like six scoreless against the Mariners, a team that I think collectively, I think everyone is hitting under 200 right now, except for like one guy. And he walked 4 guys, gave up 3 hits, and they couldn't make him pay, right? Like you can't really do that against the Cubs. This is like the Cubs are a much better lineup. So you're not going to get away with 4 walks. Now, Steele has not looked super sharp, like, spring and into his first start of the year. So this was a tricky one. I think I would have been tempted. Oakland plus 1.5 at a better price, but at minus 145, the books made my decision easy here. Just going to pass and see if I can find a spot later in the series.
Yeah, and Jack pointed out you're down 31 cents according to these consensus lines. The ones they cashed in on plus 150, plus 119. This one shopping around that one plus 115 mark here for this one. So Trig, appreciate you hopping on here. Love that you were joining us. I was also seeing, I'm not sure if this ticker at the bottom is true or not here for you, Trig. Any comments? Buzz Williams heading to Maryland here. We got breaking news. Whoever knows what you're going to be getting here on First Pitch when we're live. The shaking of the head, Trig. Buzz Williams headed to Maryland. Breaking news here on First Pitch. Who knows?
Here's the thing. Like, nothing surprises me with these college basketball coaches or players anymore. Michigan State literally has like their whole team intact, and they just went to an Elite Eight. They have one of the best head coaches in the history of college basketball, one of the best programs, and one of their players entered the transfer portal. So it's like I got to be honest. Like stuff about this, I do not care until about September when I really start to prep for college basketball. Late summer and as rosters take shape, I could care less where these coaches go. It just doesn't matter to me. It'll matter to me when we're betting on games again.
Yeah, exactly. I couldn't agree more. And the other thing is, we're not glib to the fact that it is April 1st. So right away, when I see this pop up, I'm like, is Joe screwing with us? I mean, who knows? With how crazy of the exit that there was, the absolute revolving chairs, it wouldn't put it past if it was April Fool's. But no, seeing CBS reports, Buzz Williams, Terps coach, Texas A&M coach, to replace Kevin Willard after he bounced. So drama. Drama indeed.
Good for Maryland. He's a much better coach than Willard. I mean, I would take Buzz Williams over Kevin Willard any day of the week.
You're saying Buzz Williams can't just give the ball to the freshman and say, "Hey, go get away with a walk so we can get this win"? That's now maybe we'll see an actual play drawn up at the end of a game to get a win that probably shouldn't have been a win. Yeah, clearly I had Colorado State money line, and I'm still pissed off about it, Trig. All right, let's circle back here, man. No, we've lost the plot. This is, of course, First Pitch here, but a little breaking news. That's why you're subscribed here, guys. Gambler Central, important stuff here for you. Trig, before we shut things down, we talked a couple games that the chat was bringing up. You mentioned that nothing's locked and loaded yet, but it is $5 Tuesday that you got an NIT play up for the folks. But today is the final day that you can lock in a week of access here in MLB. Yes, basketball is going on, hockey in full swing, but the MLB is here to stay, folks, and you can grab a week of plays from any capper of your choice, my man Trig included, for under $50. It's the last day, expires tonight at midnight, so if you want to get a great saving and get a week of action for under $50, today's the day to do it, as midnight on the East Coast is when the deal will be no more. But Trig, any of these games stand out to you? Anything you want to give a parting shot with the folks? Like I said, it's a decent slate. You're not seeing any crazy prices. I think we're seeing favorites as high as, like minus 170. And that's in that Padres game as they're just rolling to start the year. So some really advantageous prices here for some Tuesday MLB action. Anything catch your eye that you want to leave the folks with?
Yeah, there's one that I really do like, and I'm kind of waiting to see how the market bets this. So I really like the Pirates plus 1.5, and it currently sits there at like minus 135. Listen, my threshold for plus 1.5, like you got to really kind of be strict from a price point. You don't want to play plus 1.5 and just be like constantly laying minus 135 and minus 140. So it might be out of range for me, but this is one. So you had a pitching sort of, I don't know who got scratched here, but the starter is going to be Thomas Harrington. He's going to make his major league debut. He is someone that I was really impressed with in the minors last year, kind of shot up through the Pirates organization. I believe he started in high A. Toward the end of the year, he was pitching well in Triple A. So he's someone that I think is probably undervalued by the books, just not really having much on him. And I could see him having success against a Rays lineup that I just don't think is like super elite. So it's like, he's going to be up against, I think, a very manageable Rays lineup. Now, Shane Baz is good. Like, he's someone that has been just decimated by injuries over the past couple of years. Like when he's healthy, like he has upside to be like pretty good, but I don't know that I would have him. Like I went back to last year's, my pitching ratings from last year, which it encompasses all levels of baseball for the individual. And Baz didn't rate out higher than Harrington. So you've got two teams here, in my opinion, who are relatively even. I think you could be splitting hairs to decide like who's like significantly better, the Pirates or the Rays. You got two pitchers. I'm probably higher on Harrington. And yet the Rays are like $1.75 favorite. I wonder if some of that has to do with the fact that they were thrown the layup to start the year of getting to host the Rockies, and then they won yesterday against the Pirates. So to me, like that's just I wouldn't make the Rays this big of a favorite. The problem is, I guess you could just take the money line with the Pirates. Like there's definite money line value there. I'm not sure I'm going to do that, but what I really would have loved here, Dan, would have been to get the road team plus 1.5 at a playable price, because again, the Pirates just lost 3 games. They lost 3 games by 1 run against the Marlins, where they had a lead and choked it away late. So you kind of got to worry about the bullpen a little bit with the Pirates. The other game they won was a 1-run game. So the plus 1.5 has a lot of appeal here to me, specifically with the Pirates. It's just the books are doing their job right now. Minus 135, minus 140 is a little bit steep, but I do see some Rays money coming in, likely because no one has any clue who Harrington is. And if that money continues to come, I probably will oppose that. I think if this got to like minus 130 for that plus 1.5, I'd probably fire away at the Pirates. I won't be surprised if they win. And, TB and I talked about this game on our show this morning, and first 5 under at the time was 4.5, and there was plus money. So that's kind of a lean for me as well, because I could see the Pirates also struggling with Baz. So I guess a little bit of a lean toward under in the first 5, take the bullpens out of it, especially if it's 4.5 plus money. That's a good number. And I like the Pirates plus 1.5, and we'll see. Again, if I play Major League Baseball tonight, it's probably going to be Pirates plus 1.5 or Diamondbacks, or both. I guess I'll have to kind of figure that out over the next couple hours.
Trig. I'm shaking my head, man, because I said, do you have anything you want to leave the folks with? And sitting there on the golden platter was the fact that your Chicago White Sox are a perfect 4-0, getting a run and a half. I mean, the against the spread record is perfect, and they're going up against the team here tonight in the Twins, who is 0-4 straight up. They're 0-4 against the number. So on the silver platter, Trig was right there for you. The only thing that puts a little fly in the ointment is it's SWR who's going to be on the hill for Minnesota. So that one does give me a little bit of pause. But the chat was going crazy. FB coach says, no White Sox, Trig? Really?
Listen,
no White Sox for the folks? So come on, man. You can't leave us hanging like that. What are you doing?
I talked about the White Sox on opening day with Brian Power. I felt like I missed my opportunity to sort of take the +1.5 with them on that day. I actually bet against them.
What are you doing?
I bet against the White Sox. Listen, here's the thing. The White Sox are still probably the worst team in the American League. So you really got to be careful picking your spots with them. I played against them on Sunday. I got a win with the Angels. I thought getting Angels -120 on Sunday was like, that got bet down. I think the Angels opened like -145, got that all the way to like -119, -120. I jumped in at -120 because I thought that was like insane. And honestly, to the White Sox credit, like they even made that game difficult. Like the Angels needed Kenley Jansen had to work out of a tough jam in the ninth to close out a 3-2 win. So the White Sox have played great so far this year. And I'll tell you this, I still hand write out all my AAA notes here. Every day.
Rob Vino.
So there you go. And right up here, Charlotte Knights in the top left-hand corner have a lot of good play. Like the Whites, listen, I'm not saying the White Sox are coming by any means. Like this is still probably a team that wins 50 games this year, but they are not in as bad of a situation as they were the last 2 years. There is guys at AAA that could be productive major leaguers this year. And so I do think like the books probably have them a little bit undervalued, but like right now, like listen, the Twins have been really awful to start the year. I want no part of the Twins here either. Yeah. So this is just a game like this is a series that I'll probably just stay far away from, but maybe look to pivot when they both go to a different city in the coming days.
Yeah, for me, it's SWR outs over. I think he gets a nice long leash here. So I think you're going to see him going deep. I'm not sure what your price is on that. As far as your take bet, you're definitely going to have to lay a little bit to do it. But I would even maybe look at an alt line. I think you get a nice favorable matchup for him, a team who really wants to get off the snide. I would look towards some SWR pitcher props, my favorite one being looking towards those outs over. All right, Trig, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for hopping on here with us again. Check him out, wt.buzz/AT. Locked and loaded. He's got a $5 play in NIT, just a mere 7-1 run. Sure, dropped one last night, but that just means bounce back incoming here. You can check him out over at wt.buzz/AT. Huge thanks to you guys in the chat. Eric D back in the house. That's right. Go Phils, go. Indeed, getting a little day off, kind of a weird setup Monday, and then we'll play again on Wednesday. Folks, Bet on It, going to be coming to you on the YouTube channel tomorrow, so likely no first pitch, but maybe with some day game baseball, we'll swing back to you here on Thursday, talk a little live betting opportunities for the folks. If we're going to be here, a way to make sure that you don't miss us, hit the damn bell, folks. Hit that like button as well. That subscribe goes a long way. So when we do go live here and we got breaking news like Buzz Williams going to Maryland, you'll never miss it. The Sports Center for gamblers here. We got all the info you need to cash on all the sports you love. And if you want more, you don't have to go far. Check out the video on your screen right now. Best of luck, everybody. And we'll see you next time here on First Pitch. Make some money, folks.
Oh my God, I just wanted to send a shout out to my favorite handicapper at WagerTalk, Mark Zinno. I've got your big ticket waiting for later.
Keep your eyes peeled for the morning wager, too.
Let's make a sloppy parlay together.
I love a sloppy parlay. Yeah. Chances high or low. Feeling good is fast. Marks, cash is tickets. Always got my back. In the highs and wicked, parlays never lack.